Thanks for taking the time to watch this video, the all-crew briefing on human factors in vessel inspections. In the next few minutes, we'll talk about why we inspect vessels, how vessel inspection has changed, what human factors look like on a vessel, and what to expect from an inspection. Why do we inspect vessels? There are many good reasons, but most importantly, we inspect because we care about the safety of you, the crew. We know that shipping is a difficult and fast-moving place to work. We rely on you to make things work and keep the vessel safe. We care about our planet and don't want our operations to harm the world we share. In fact, we inspect because we want every voyage to be safe and successful. Inspections help you learn how well things work on your vessel to keep it safe. Vessel inspections have changed. We focus more on things that protect the vessel from harm. We worry about the things that can sink vessels, kill or harm people, or damage the environment. We want to know that a vessel has good equipment, helpful procedures, and that the crew has everything they need so that important tasks are reliable. All of this helps the inspector get a good picture of how the vessel operates. You make the vessel work. In fact, a vessel can't do its job without you. Equipment wouldn't work and the vessel couldn't sail safely. But as well as the important tasks and maintenance you do, you are able to spot problems and adapt when things don't go to plan. The crew will struggle to do its job if equipment doesn't work, if procedures are unhelpful, or if there are things that make a task difficult. In human factors, we aim to fix these things to help you do the job. People make things work on a vessel. You may have a task that helps protect the vessel. It might be something you have to watch for, or a piece of equipment you operate or maintain, or something else. Imagine that your job is to fill this tank without it overflowing. You have to read the level in the tank and then close the valve when the tank is full. In this example, there are three important parts that have to work together: the equipment, the procedure that gives the instructions, and the person. If we take the person away, the tank overfills. Here, the person is doing an important task that protects the vessel from overflow. The inspector looks at important tasks like these to see if they are working as we expect and whether people have what they need to do the task. It's like having a gauge that tells you how successful the task is. What would help you do this task? You might think of things like being able to see the level in the tank, having an easy-to-use valve, or maybe being properly rested, having done it before with the right training or experience, having plenty of time to do the job, or this being the only task you have to do at the time. All these things would help a person to be successful in a task. If we change some of those things, we can make the task very difficult to do. For example, if you have a dirty gauge and a stiff valve, if you are tired or are new to the task, if there's not enough time or you have too many tasks, then it's likely the task will fail. We call these things performance-influencing factors because they influence performance on a task. When we improve these factors, we can make it easier for people to do the task. When an inspector comments on a task, they tell the vessel whether they are working well or need improving. If they need improving, the inspector will try to point to the performance-influencing factors that need to be fixed. Let's talk about the inspectors. Inspectors are experienced and trained in human factors. They see a lot of vessels, so have seen a lot of good practice. The inspector wants you to be confident and relaxed. They will recognize great performance that goes beyond what's expected, as well as areas to improve. Importantly, inspectors will not blame a person for something they cannot do. Instead, they will look for the things that made it difficult for a person to do the task. When an inspector makes their report, they will never record your name, but instead note the rank grouping such as Junior Engineer Officer or Senior Deck Officer or rating. An inspector will report what needs to improve and things that make a task hard to do, and will often say what is working really well. What will the inspector do? They may sometimes ask you to walk through or talk through a task that you normally do. They will try and only ask about things which are a normal part of your job, and the inspector will treat you as the expert. They don't expect a perfect answer, just to hear how things are done on your vessel. The inspector is in the cargo control room. The inspector waits until there is a pause in the operation and asks the duty officer, "Is it okay if I ask some questions now?" Duty officer: "Yes, things are nice and steady now." Inspector: "Do you have a procedure that references the ISGOT Ship Shore Safety Checklist?" Duty officer: "Yes, we do." Inspector: "Could you show me?" Duty officer: "Yes, here it is." Inspector: "And could I see the most recent checklist, please?" Duty officer: "Yes, here's today's checklist." Inspector: "Great. What equipment is covered in the firefighting section? What do you have to check before starting operations?" The duty officer flicks through the checklist and points to some items. Duty officer: "We make sure fire hoses, extinguishers and foam monitors are ready to use, and we have an international fire connection." The officer hasn't mentioned checking that the fire pump works, but the inspector checks this by saying, "That's good. How do you make sure fire pumps are operational?" Duty officer: "Oh yes, that's in there too. We tested those before arrival." The inspector thanks the duty officer for their help. If an inspector does ask you about your task, you can show them what you would normally do or describe it. You could also refer to the procedure or people you would turn to for help. And if there are problems, say how you would normally deal with them. In this example, the inspector visits the galley after lunch. Inspector: "That was a great lunch, thank you." Galley crew: "I'm glad you liked it." Inspector: "Do you have time to answer a few questions about the galley?" Galley crew: "Yes, I haven't started on dinner yet." Inspector: "How often do you check the filters on the ventilation hood?" Galley crew: "I don't know, but I know who does." He then calls another member of the galley crew. Galley crew 2: "It's on this label on the side of the hood. These were changed 2 months ago. We change them every 6 months." Inspector: "They do look a bit greasy. Could you take them out and let me look inside the vent, please?" Galley crew 2: "Of course." Inspector: "That looks nice and clean inside, so they are working well. Thank you." Remember, inspectors want the inspection to go well. They will be patient, giving you time to think or answer any questions. Just ask if there is something you don't understand, and the inspector will explain his question or what he needs to see. You can have another try at any question if you need to. And remember that inspectors are happy to record the many good things on a vessel, as well as things that could be improved. In this short video, we've looked at why we inspect, how vessel inspections have changed, human factors on a vessel, and what to expect from the inspection. We inspect because we want every voyage to be safe and successful. Inspections cover a lot, and they look for things that could put the vessel or crew at risk. However, we also know that most of what happens on a vessel is very good. Inspectors want you to succeed and will try and help you show how good your vessel is. Thank you for watching, and we wish you plain sailing on your SIRE inspection.